Wildlife officials in BC are trying to figure out why dozens of birds literally dropped from the sky dead. Witnesses say they'd never seen anything like it. And as the CBC's Belle Puri reports, people are sharing their theories about what happened.
It's hard to believe what happened, except for hints on the ground. It was last Friday at dusk. Some of the casualties can still be found at a pullout along the busy causeway from the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal. The Canadian Wildlife Service confirmed something did happen here. Biologists refer to it as a mortality event. Some of the bird carcasses were collected and sent to an animal health lab for post-mortem analysis.
It was shut down yesterday as officials were trying to keep people away from the water. Miles of pristine beach along Florida's Atlantic coast were deserted, shut down after officials confirmed a toxic red tide bloom just offshore.
I think Mother Nature's getting angry and doing crazy stuff.
The growth of an algae known as red tide has exploded in Florida this year, growing bigger and lasting longer than years before. It has killed huge numbers of marine life and dealt a hard blow to the Gulf Coast economy. As William Brangham reports from Sanibel Island, there are many causes driving this red tide, including warmer waters tied to climate change. And there are other questions about what role humans are playing.
We start with a deadly discovery. Fish found scattered along the shore and in the water in parts of Palm Beach County. This comes just days after red tide was detected in the water, but tonight not yet known whether there's a connection.
It's something you rarely see here on the east coast of Florida. Piles of dead fish along the shoreline.
I felt like I was coughing more.
Justin Friedman is a Florida native. He spends a lot of time here at John D. MacArthur State Park. A park that's beach is now shut down to visitors and its boardwalk blocked off.
Indonesia's disaster agency says the earthquake and tsunami that hit the island of Sulawesi on Friday killed at least 380 people.
The tsunami struck very soon after a powerful earthquake. Some people had already taken to higher buildings for safety. You can see here the dome of the mosque has already collapsed. The double disaster occurred on Friday evening, just as many worshippers would have been heading to prayer.
A terrifying massive wall of water smashed over this Indonesian island city. Waves some 10 feet tall, residents crying out, running for their lives.
The moment a tsunami hits the Indonesian city of Palu, triggered by a 7.5 magnitude earthquake that struck the island of Sulawesi.
Overnight, the death toll is rising in Indonesia, where at least 384 people were killed by a strong 7.5 earthquake that then triggered a tsunami.
Search for survivors continues after a tsunami and earthquake killed at least 384 people in Indonesia.
flames that shot up out of a hole in northern Arkansas have experts and county leaders there scratching their heads.
An unusual call for the Midway Volunteer Fire Department. A volleyball-sized hole with flames shooting out of it off Highway 5 South in Midway.
Fire was burning roughly 2 feet in diameter, about 8 feet tall, and it burned for approximately 40 minutes.
The flames that shot up out of a hole in northern Arkansas remains a mystery at this point to experts and even county leaders.
A hole was discovered in the ground, and here are some pictures of this hole that at one point the heat coming out of this hole was so hot it measured 1,400 degrees. Goes on to say he found a volleyball-sized hole with flames shooting out about 15 feet high, but there was no sign of gas. Measured about 1,400 degrees. The fire department confirms there was a hole in the ground. At the time, they confirmed an impact, but it goes on to say there's been an update. There was no impact. This was not from a meteor. It was not from a ruptured gas line that caught fire. Nobody seems to know.
We have the latest details on a powerful earthquake that rocked Hokkaido early this morning. 2 people have died and the number of injured has risen to at least 140. About 40 others are missing. The quake triggered landslides, caused widespread damage, and left the whole of Japan's northern island prefecture without power. The quake hit shortly after 3 a.m. on the western part of the island, leaving everyone in the dark. The meteorological agency estimates the magnitude was 6.7, and there have been dozens of aftershocks since then.
We start in northern Japan, where rescuers in Hokkaido are digging through rubble and mud in their search for survivors. It's been 1 day since a powerful earthquake rocked the island, and tremors continue. Near the epicenter, rescuers are working around the clock in the town of Atsuma, looking for the missing. The quake measured the strongest possible level on Japan's seismic intensity scale, triggering massive landslides that wiped out homes.
We've been working through the night, but it's hard to find the many people who remain buried. We want to rescue them as quickly as possible.
Incredible rescue caught on camera. A teenager lost at sea for 49 days with no food, no water, and no way to steer.
He'd survived, he said, by eating fish he'd caught and drinking seawater he filtered through his shirt.
This is the moment, 49 days in the making. 19-year-old Aldi Adelang rescued from the Pacific Ocean after nearly 2 months lost at sea. On July 14th, blistering winds snapped the rope which was anchoring the floating hut in place and sent him drifting 1,200 miles, taking the teen from the shores of Indonesia to near Guam.
When a passing ship spotted the tiny hut adrift in the blue abyss, the crew thought surely the radio call for help couldn't have come from here.
What? What? Oh my God! Oh my God! Hey, you do that forever! Oh! Boas pessoas, abatam dentro do escuro, ok?
When the silver